everyone, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to show you what I store in my pantries, as well as what is always good to have on hand, regardless of being in urban settings or more rural areas, and just give you an idea of what you should have on your homestead. Stay tuned. I'm going to break this video up into a couple different parts. The first part is what I normally stock in my pantry. So the first thing that I like to stock in my pantry are all of my dry goods. So that includes beans, rice, flour, and pasta with maybe lentils or peas. So everything that I have on this counter are all my dry goods. Now I like to buy them in bulk because first of all you get a better deal. Second of all, there's less material to be recycled or less waste. And third of all, you're not going to the grocery store all the time because you need one bag of something. You can buy large quantities of something, and for most of the items here, they'll keep a long time. Now the only thing that might have less of a shelf life would be the flour. I've heard that flour normally lasts for about a year. Now, if you take flour and put it in little Ziploc bags, you can actually freeze it in your freezer, which extends the shelf life of it considerably. So all the items I have here are lentils, rice. I have a bit of cornmeal as well because we've been dabbing into a bit of gluten-free and just using different sorts of materials besides just flour. We also have some beans and pasta. Now with pasta, we probably eat it, I'd say once or twice a week. We love pasta. Now I was able to buy little bags for $1 a bag at Superstore. Now when you see deals like that, I like to always stock up. So even if I don't need pasta, I buy my 10 or 20 bags just so I have it. Because if it's a deal like that, whereas they're normally, let's say, $2.25, you're saving $1.25 per bag. Now in the long run, that's going to actually save you a lot of money, in addition to always having a whole bunch of dry goods on hand. I forgot to mention, I also like to have a whole big thing of some sort of olive oil or cooking lard, something to have on hand to cook with, and I also make soap out of some olive oil and lard as well. So these are the big bulk items that I always like to keep on hand, because basically you can make a lot of meals out of beans and lentils and flour. You can make your own bread. You can have kind of more of a high rich fiber and protein meal if you add a few lentils or beans. So I like to always have these items on hand. Now I like to store them in glass mason jars just because I know exactly what's in here. If I'm not quite sure, I do have little labels on the front. So these are red lentils compared to I have like green lentils here. So I do have labels on the top. I also have another storage. So I have all of these ones in the pantry I normally use, and then I have an extra pantry of just extra bulk items. So I'll show you that in a few minutes. In addition to my dry goods, I always like to have some canned tomatoes. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't able to can a whole bunch of tomatoes for my garden this year, but I was able to freeze a whole bunch. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to have enough for the whole year, so whenever tomatoes come on sale, I always buy a full case, if not 2 cases of diced tomatoes. Now, I don't buy any pasta sauces or any sort of like salsa, anything like that, because I always make it from scratch out of just diced tomatoes. And hopefully in the future I will have a recipe for how I make tomato sauce out of diced tomatoes. In addition to diced tomatoes, I always like to have some sort of veggie, just like a canned veggie on hand. Now open a couple cans and throw in some meat and maybe some lentils or beans, and you have a nice meal. So these are things that I always like to have, some sort of veggie, as well as it's always good to have some canned meat on hand. Now we do have a freezer full of game meat, which I'm going to show you in a minute here, but you know, heaven forbid the power goes out and we do lose some of our meat, it's always nice to have a backup. I really like canned ham, my fiance not so much, so I bought some because they were on sale for, I think it was like $2, and normally they're about $6 at Walmart, so it was kind of just a nice treat for me. But we do use a lot of tuna, just to have kicking around. High protein, it's pretty good for you. If you eat too much, you gotta watch out for mercury, of course, but it's kind of a nice, you can throw it in like a pasta, and it's a nice substitute for other meats that you might be eating. Another go-to obviously is coffee. Now normally I have a couple big jars of coffee. We normally just buy it on sale like most items. I think you can buy one of the big tubs for about $7 or $7.50. So it's always nice to have some coffee on hand. I always have a big thing of white sugar. I know white sugar is not the greatest for you, but it's always nice to have some just in case. You can make pretty much any sort of dessert with it. Brownies, whatnot, cupcakes. It's always nice to have some cookies. Why I have so much sugar is because most of the jam I make, I use just white sugar. And if you've ever made jam, you know about 2 cups of strawberries equals about 4 cups of sugar. So you need a whole bunch, and when it's on sale, you buy a big bag and it lasts forever. So I always like to have a bit of sugar. These are some of the canned goods that I was able to make over the summer. So I grew my own cucumbers and I made pickles out of them. So we have a few jars left, but we're almost finished. So pickles. I have some honey peaches, so that's a nice little dessert with ice cream if you'd like, or just on their own. So whatever I'm able to grow, or if I'm able to go to the farmer's market and pick up a whole bunch, I like to can them. It's always nice to have on hand, as well as I have some peach jam and I have some cherry jam as well. So a little different. I wanted to try it out. I've used like raspberries, blueberries, strawberry jam before, but I never tried peach or cherry. And it turned out pretty well, but I don't know if I'd do it again. And so these are the things that I like to have just kind of extra in addition to all my dry goods. So before I take you down to our pantries, I just wanted to show you a quick few things about what we normally have in our freezer. I know this video is about pantries, but I think it's really important to touch on the fact that we do have a lot of game meat. Now I do have a pressure canner, but I haven't tried it out yet. I'll be doing that hopefully this September when we get another animal. But I just wanted to kind of run through what we normally make most of our meals out of. So we have a whole bunch of ground venison. We have also venison roasts. We normally buy chickens, like whole chickens, whenever they're on sale. So these ones were a smoking deal at $6.65 at Walmart. I know these are the little jailbirds, and I feel really bad about that. And I hope to raise birds in the future. It's just not feasible for me now, and yeah, it's just a life choice really. I think that if I was making more money, I would be choosing free-range birds, but unfortunately right now it's not feasible for me. And then we also have a whole bunch of pepperoni that we made up. As well as I always like to have frozen veggies on hand, so we have some beans here and kind of like a mix. So there's broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, as well as some turkey bone broth that I made just after Thanksgiving. Now all of these items in the future I hope to be able to grow enough in the garden and then can them for the cooler months, and hopefully be able to pressure can all of our meats, or at least a majority of our meats, and then freeze the rest. So stay tuned and we will look at the pantries. So this is my pantry that's upstairs. It's just connected to my kitchen. So at the very top I keep extra bags, some baking stuff, and all my spices. In one of these containers I keep all extras, like little packets I like to keep, as well as I have some dates and jerky kits. I also have the one beside it, which has all of the kind of snacky stuff. So I have like nuts and whatnot. Down I have all my pastas. I have some oats. Then I have some cans, so some canned beans, some more oatmeal, coconut milk, and then at the very bottom, those are all of the dry goods that you were able to see. So this is what I have on hand, ready to go, just in my upstairs pantry. And this shelving unit was bought at Walmart, and I believe it was about $35. Finally, the second shelving that I have is all of my backups. So I have all of my backup pastas, as you can see. So I used to have a whole bunch, but we've been kind of just working through it. I have extra baking soda, some more stock, all of my extra toothpaste, soaps, toothbrushes, anything I can buy on sale, some candles. I have all my extra canned goods like soups, chickpeas, tomatoes, all of my extra meats as well as beans. And then at the bottom, these are all of the things that I made. So I have all my jams and pickles. And then at the very bottom, I have some baked beans and some cream corn. So normally I have beside it a whole bunch of dry goods as well. So I have a whole big bag of rice and a big bag of white sugar as well. So this is what I like to have, always on hand. And of course, some toilet paper or paper towel. And yeah, I just wanted to show you a sneak peek of where my pantry is going to go. I don't like the one that's in the hall. So what we're gonna do is build shelves along the inside of this little room. And hopefully it'll go all the way up to the top and be on one or two sides, so they're going to be quite wide, and then I'll be able to have all of my canned goods in here. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed taking a tour in my pantries and seeing what I like to stock. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.